good defense at times. All of a sudden hitting the deck is Reggie Lewis. Is he all right? Inside to Perry. He's down right now. Yeah, he's hurt. They're gonna have to...
When it comes to sports, many are told to leave it all on the court, meaning that they need to go and give everything they have as if their lives depended on it, which of course is meant to be metaphorical. But sadly, there are many who were under such pressure to perform that they made terrible decisions that affected their lives forever. But for one man named Reggie Lewis, that leave it all on the court line would be taken to the farthest possible place. Allow us to show you how this NBA player died on the court. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 10. His early life. To understand how he lost his life on the court, we need to understand where Reggie Lewis came from. Reggie grew up in Baltimore and in a very rough part of that city. Do you recall that Baltimore is referred to as the murder capital of the United States by some? So not the best place to live, and to make matters worse, his mother Peggy was an addict. So seeing her constantly getting high and not really being much, Reggie was inspired to go and do more and get out of Baltimore, else fall to the same fate. Thankfully for him, he got the outlet he needed when it came to basketball, because there were plenty of places to go and play in Baltimore, and in fact, there were even movements at that time to say no to drugs and let's play. And sure enough, not only did Reggie like basketball, he was very good at it. So much so that he was making a name for himself across Baltimore by playing in local AAU times, which you would think would mean he was on the fast track to the NBA, right? Wrong. Number 9. High school. Because not unlike certain other NBA legends, who we will mention later, Reggie Lewis was actually cut from the high school basketball team he tried out for in his freshman year. Remember, this is a guy who would go to the NBA and actually play well against various legends. And yet, here he was getting cut from a high school team. Ironic, no? Thankfully for Reggie, he didn't give up. Not even close. He focused on his craft and worked to get better, which would lead him to a major decision. Because after getting to his junior year in high school and feeling confident in his abilities, he felt he was above his current high school and thus went to try out at the prestigious Dunbar High. Not only did he get in, he went and joined a squad that would have 4 future NBA players. That's not something you hear about happening all the time in one school in one year, but it's what happened. This squad was so good, they didn't lose a game for the next 2 years. They're still hailed as one of, if not the greatest high school basketball team of all time. Reggie's journey wasn't over though, not even close. Because he made his name and proved himself in the eyes of some. So much so that he got a full ride scholarship to number 8, Northeastern University. Now, because of his position on that Dunbar Dream Team, you might think that his offers were overflowing in terms of college. But while Reggie was great, he was the 6th man and thus didn't get as much credit as the others. Thus, when he went to Northeastern University, he knew that he had to prove himself to the world. And he did. Because not only did he play like a madman, he carried the Northeastern team to an NCAA appearance in just his freshman year. And he kept playing well throughout. It was also here that he met someone that would change his life forever. Number 7. Donna Harris. It was in his sophomore year that he would meet the woman who would become his wife in Donna Harris. As we noted earlier, one of the main motivations for Reggie to get out of Baltimore was to go and be better than his mother, and to not fall into the pattern she had. When he met Donna though and fell for her, well, he had a new motivation. She was his everything and his backbone in the minds of many. Which was proven true when Donna met Peggy, because these two did not like each other at all. Donna saw Peggy as an opportunist in that she was an addict trying to ride the wave, and thus Donna worked hard to get Reggie to cut his mother off from his life. It was a battle that was a constant in his life. And it was because of that internal struggle that he went and focused even harder on basketball so that he wouldn't fail in the dream that he had. Oh, and he didn't. Number 6. Ready for the NBA. Reggie Lewis, unlike many college athletes today, spent all 4 years at Northeastern, and while there, he scored over 2,700 points. That's 600 points more than the person who held the previous record. He was ready for the NBA, and in 1987, he did indeed enter the NBA draft and hoped that someone would see his potential and pick him. And he was indeed picked up, and by a major team in the Boston Celtics. In the first round, no less. That's saying something. Now, a key element to note here is that when he signed his contract, he got $400,000, which back then in 1987 was a large sum of money. Despite the words of wisdom from Donna, Reggie felt it was his duty to go and help his mom. So he went and bought her a house to finally get her out of the projects of Baltimore. With that taken care of, he could focus on helping the Celtics. Number 5. Second chance. His rookie season in the NBA wasn't what you might have expected. Because he was playing alongside legends like Larry Bird, the Celtics wanted Reggie to come off the bench and soak up the knowledge of the pros. So he did that. Then, in his second season when Larry Bird got hurt, Reggie Lewis was called upon to help the team out and carry them through this period. So he did that. He became a starter, he became a star, and then in 1991, he did something that no one in NBA history had done. He played the Michael Jordan Bulls and blocked MJ 4 different times. For real, there's video footage of this. In fact, later on, MJ himself said that Reggie Lewis's length confused me. Every time I thought I had him beat, he'd recover and get up on me. Think about that. Michael freaking Jordan was saying that Reggie was a hard person to play against. And this wasn't a one-time thing. Reggie brought it to Michael every time they played. Reggie became an all-star and was making deals worth millions. And that's when the problems started. Number 4. More money, more problems. As many will tell you, when you have money, people close to you want it out of kindness to them. And as you might have guessed, his mother Peggy pushed hard for that. So much so that Donna, his fiancée at the time, got so mad at Reggie capitulating to Peggy that she put her foot down and cut the entire family off from Reggie and his money. Even then, it wasn't enough, as Peggy asked for help to go into rehab, and Reggie gave in once again. Number 3. Hero in the community. While his death was coming, Reggie didn't know it yet, and in spite of family issues and being an all-star in the NBA, Reggie Lewis was a hero in the eyes of the Boston community. He did community service, gave out food, held free practices for kids to come off the streets and play basketball, and even helped rebuild certain parts of the community. The people of Boston loved him, and it wasn't hard to see why. And that's not even talking about his feats on the court, which made him all the more beloved. Number 2. April 29, 1993. The 1993 playoffs were meant to be the defining moment for Reggie Lewis and the Celtics. He had led the team to the playoffs despite Larry Bird being retired, and as they faced off against the Charlotte Hornets, things seemed great, until Reggie collapsed on the court. He was checked out and put back in and seemed to be alright, so he went back in. But when he didn't feel better, they sent him to the hospital, and after 6 tests, the truth emerged. He had a deadly heart defect. The doctors had a grim diagnosis. Your basketball career is over. Number 1. The end. Reggie wasn't one to accept things at surface level, so he went to doctors from all over and got second and third opinions, and many conflicted with one another. Some said he could play basketball, others said he risked death by stepping on the court. For Reggie Lewis, basketball was not just his life, it was his way of supporting his wife and child and others. So, he went and played basketball. Not with the NBA at first, as he wanted to warm up to that. Thus, he went and played basketball with his friends and took things lightly. But that didn't matter. Within minutes, he was on the ground and was undergoing cardiac arrest. Doctors worked on him for a few hours, but in the end, nothing could be done. And Reggie Lewis died on July 27, 1993, at just 27 years old. His funeral was attended by thousands both in Boston and by those in Northeastern University. Reggie left everything to his wife, and though there were struggles with Reggie's family and lawsuits were filed against the doctors, who said it would be okay to play basketball, most chose to honor Reggie Lewis for what he did, and choose to remember him for being a man who gave it all for his family and community. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at the life of Reggie Lewis, and how he's a tragic tale of what happens at times in life when things just don't go all your way? Did you know the story of Reggie Lewis beforehand? Can you believe how he passed on in the NBA? Do you think that more people should know his story? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.